Hello, and welcome to Through the Body podcast, where we discuss the body, mind, and spirit and all of the ways that they interplay to create the human experience. Today we have Haley
Hi.
with me to talk about what's on your mind, Haley? What's interesting you right now? There's so many things we could talk about.
Yeah, I think you're a wealth of knowledge. So we could talk about the basics of ego, and your heart.
The basics of that is the basics. It's what everything is organized around in terms of the human experience. It's a great place to start. Look at you, just putting you on the spot like that, coming up with just the right thing to talk about. Well, the basics. If you don't know, you have an ego, and your ego is the wounded aspect of your consciousness. It doesn't matter what sort of childhood you had. You were wounded in relationship to what you love, which brings in the heart. Your heart is your possibilities, your love, your potential. All of those things reside inside of you and can be thought about, can be considered as like your heart and your head is oftentimes the way that those two things are contrasted. Your intuition and your mind. But language is language, and you can interpret words all sorts of different ways. So I'll be clear here. The ego is your vehicle of orientation in 3D reality, in your survival life. It wants to know how it is here so that it can survive. And it makes a map of how it is here based off of the conditions it experiences from the ages of 0 to 4. And then you, as a person, carry that map along with you. And that's what your ego actually is. Like, ego oftentimes gets talked about as like that guy had a big head, he has a big ego or whatever. Mm-hmm. But that isn't what we're talking about here. That's a characteristic of a personality type. It's like more like narcissistic or self-involved or whatever, reactive. But well, all egos are reactive. They're all reacting the pattern that was imprinted on them, creating them really from those ages of 0 to 4, and 0 starting like in utero also. Mm-hmm. And so the balancing aspect of that, we also talk about the ego and the heart as the devil and the angel on your shoulder whispering to you.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes screaming.
Sometimes screaming. Sometimes yelling ever so loudly in your ear. Your heart speaks to you through your intuition, which is not as direct as the ego, because your ego talks to you through your perception, which is your thoughts and feelings. Mm-hmm. And we all think that our thoughts and feelings are real. We think they're a representation of what's actually going on, when really they're a projection of what we believe is going on onto what's actually going on. This is a lot of winding road. The basics are, you have two modes of awareness as a human, and one of them is your perception, which is born from your ego structure or your beliefs, your unconscious beliefs, that is. And then the other mode of awareness is your intuition, which is your heart. It's your truth. It's the truth of who you are.
Let's talk about maybe some examples. So ego is your personality to some degree, right?
Yep.
And that is formed, you said, between the ages of 0 to 4, well, sub-0 to 4, really. Mm-hmm. And it's formed by what exactly? And can you give some examples?
Yes, it's formed by, and I really tie this into the body, because the body, which is why this podcast is called Through the Body, because you're living through your body right now. We all are. And your body needs to survive. It is, in fact, a time structure, meaning that it begins and ends. Your essence, your soul, which actually builds your body upon arrival, like embryos, people often say like, oh, the mom is building the baby or whatever, as if there's like separate arms that attach on and are sewn on or whatever. It's like, no, the embryo self-organizes and makes itself. And so what intelligent energy is making that happen? And that's your soul. And so as the soul is coming in to form, it's actually building the body, referencing these blueprints, which we call genetic codes or DNA. And it's our DNA specific for our species specific DNA. And so the spirit comes in and is like, I'm going to build a body. Your soul comes in and is like, I'm building a body in the space holder of the mother, which is another metaphor that goes out through you and the world as well. But anyways.
And this is not to take away from mothers. That embryo is using what it needs from the mother. The mother's providing the resources, right?
Yes, selflessly.
Selflessly.
Unconsciously.
Intelligently. For the embryo to build itself.
Right. The body is and that comes into like the concept of separation. It's like really there's no separation. And so the mother and the child are a great representation of that, because the mother's body is doing whatever it needs to do, whatever's required of it to create the space and the resources needed for the embryo to build itself into the little body. And so really there's like, it's one act. The mother's body and the embryo are cooperating. They're working in unison to achieve the same outcome. Because you, as a conscious person, have nothing to do with what's happening when a baby is being built inside your body.
Right.
You can be like, no, I don't want this to happen. Blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. It's happening.
Yeah.
With a girlfriend of mine who recently had a baby, I was just like reflecting on like, how weird is it that like there's no transition. Like there's transition through pregnancy, but there's no transition into pregnancy. You're either not pregnant and then you are pregnant. Mm-hmm. And that's the same at the end. It's like you give birth and it's like you're not pregnant anymore.
Yeah.
Now you're a mother.
Now you got a whole other set of things to deal with.
Yeah. Anyways, I digress. So how we create these maps is, so here's your soul coming into form. It's building its body. And then the body has another sense. It's sensing its environment. And the body has need. Spirit, soul has love. It has desire. It has what it wants to give and experience and create in the world, which its first act of creation is your body. But then the body as its own essence, as its own structure, its form, as more condensed energy, has needs. It needs energy from the mother. It needs food. It needs connection. It needs whatever. And so it organizes this ego. This ego emerges alongside of that desire to say, well, first we have to survive. Mm-hmm. And it looks at the conditions and it makes up what that means about itself, others, and the world.
The conditions being?
The conditions being, how do I receive love? Mm. Because love equals survival.
Yes.
This is a horrible story, but very, illuminating. The Nazis didn't experiment with babies back during World War II, where they took several babies and they split them up into two groups. And one group, they gave everything the human body needs, which is light, food, water, etc., right? Mm-hmm. All the physical needs. And the other group, they gave all those things and connection. They gave they would be sung to, they'd be held and rocked, they'd be soothed when they cried. The other group didn't get any of that. They only got the bare necessities for a body to survive. And all of those babies died. Not a single one of them stuck around. Because they were like, if there's no love here, there's no point.
Yeah. Love is survival.
Yeah, love is survival. And see, that's where everything gets all mixed up in when you're living your life. So many people have confused need for love. Mm-hmm. And they put need in front of love, or having the needs fulfilled, having the conditions fulfilled, so that then they can have love. But the secret trick is to just be the love already and express from that place to create. Anyways, so that's how egos build themselves, is they need love to survive. And to get the elements of survival, they make up how they have to be in order to get it, based off of primarily your caretakers and the initial environments that you're in. So for an example, it's like, say you have a schizophrenic mother and she's super reactive anytime you cry. And when you cry, she shuts down and removes herself from you. And so you make up that in order to receive love, you can't express yourself. And so then you take on from that moment to not cry or whine or whatever, to find a different way of receiving what you need.
Yeah.
Which is being very cheerful or quiet or passive or whatever the circumstances might require. And then you carry that forward with you until you have some sort of awakening.
Right. And so come up with a strategy also to maybe feel those feelings less for some people, right? So that they don't even have to, so that there's no chance they're going to cry, no chance they're going to feel like they want to express.
Right. Right.
And then it just keeps going.
And it just keeps going and going and going and going until one day you break, because that's not sustainable, because the human body holds both. The body wants inner harmony. And so anytime you're polarized in one direction or the other, it's going to give you feedback to bring you back to that neutral space, back to the harmonious place inside of you. Because people often, a lot of spiritual practices teach that balance is the goal. Want to achieve balance. But balance is actually the doorway. So it's like, first you have to get to a state of balance so that you can walk through the door into actually your truth and creating and being beyond the rules and conditions of how reality works or how it is here or what you have to do. And so there's a lot of unwinding that needs to take place. There's a lot of like learning that needs to take place for a lot of people. And then once you achieve that place of balance, like you can stay there comfortably. And, oftentimes people try to hold on to that as like a fixed state. But the fixed state won't maintain because life is movement. So it's like balance is actually like walking across a tightrope. It's like you don't maintain balance by stopping in the middle of it. You fall off. The wind comes and knocks you over. It's like to maintain the balance, you have to keep moving forward. And that's where a lot of people get hung up if they're seeking something more for their life. When they find like a comfortable medium place, they're like, this is good enough. But the soul is always reaching for the truth of itself and its full expression. And so something will nag at you. And oftentimes because we don't have leadership or examples of like living our truth in the world, we look for the external validators of like success or wealth or the image or fame or whatever our culture tells us is going to give us that feeling of wholeness. But the funny thing, the paradox of that is that you're always whole. You're never not whole. You're always just looking in the wrong places for that wholeness. Your holiness.
Go back to what you were saying about feedback, that your body will give you feedback. I think it would be good to have some examples of what that could be.
Sure. Well, your body's always giving you feedback. Many people aren't aware of this because they're so disconnected from their bodies, but that's a whole nother bag. Your ego is a pattern, and your body also uses patterns for efficiency. And so when you are too patterned, so say you are an Olympic athlete and you're a pole jumper, and you only do that one motion. You run and then you push into that same side and you reach through your body to get over the pole and then you crash and land. That is a really cool thing to do, but it's going to tension the whole of your body. It's going to pattern something into your body that is going to neglect balance through your whole system. So this is just a physical example of what I'm going to talk about. It's more of a egoic feedback. So your body is going to tell you through pain, through injury, through whatever, that there's an imbalance, that there's too much strain or load happening through one joint, not enough support in the other, and something's going to happen that's going to prevent you from being able to do that thing. So similarly, when your attention is on your ego, on your dysfunction in your consciousness, you're going to have physical experiences that give you the feedback that that's where your attention is. And so if you go, say, if you're not having enough heart in your experience and you're just focusing on ego stuff, you're going to have something like chronic fatigue or tumor growths or whatever, because your body's giving you the feedback that it's only getting the information of your beliefs. And so that usually makes people stop. Like, a place where people find this work and are really interested in creating and are like, I'm one with all things and life is beautiful and should just be experienced, is NDE people, near-death experience people. And you see, the body will take you to that place also, because the body wants equilibrium. So if you're fully focused only on your dysfunction, unconsciously, it's where your attention is, you're trying to resolve that, then the body's going to start pushing up signals in whatever way suits your belief system, actually, to take you to a place where you have to address your life in some sort of a way. Which I think is really interesting, is like everybody being so medicated now, is that I think it's this like cultural cry for more soul, but instead of people listening that there's something wrong, that we don't move our bodies, that we're not expressing, that we're not self-sourcing, that we're disconnected from nature, that we're eating poison for food, essentially. We're, all of these things that are manifesting as ADHD, ADD, allergies, blah, 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 all of those things. People are looking to fix that problem instead of looking at what the source of the problem is, which is self-disconnection. And so many things get transformed when you start to come from your wholeness inherently, which everybody has always. Just like right now, sitting wherever you are listening to this, you are whole and complete, and your body reflects that. You don't have toes that are separate from your knees, that are separate from your ribs. All of it is one thing. And that's one of the biggest misconceptions we've had about ourselves and our bodies for the last 200 plus years in anatomy, at least.
Okay, this is a good segue, I think. Getting to that point for some people where they're like, okay, something has to change. My body is crying out for me to look at something. Mm-hmm. I think this is a good opportunity to start talking about, we've talked about the ego, we've talked about the personality, we've talked about strategies, perception, unconscious beliefs. Let's talk about the heart, intuition. Let's talk about higher self. I also want to say that I think there's a lot of victimhood happening in our culture. Mm-hmm. And this is not what that is. This is acknowledging your wounding, acknowledging that it comes from your caretakers, acknowledging that everyone has it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not blaming anything on that, though. It's very empowering to be able to say, okay, but I have a choice. Mm-hmm. Once I have awareness, I can do something with this. Mm-hmm. It's not placing blame on anybody. I just want to make sure that that's clear.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to make. Because it isn't. It's empowerment. And that's where therapy can be really tricky. Because therapy can reinforce the storyline of why you are the way you are, and you can take that on as the reason to stay how you are. It's like, oh, well, this happened to me as a kid, and fuck my mom or fuck my dad, and now I'm this way, and now I have to find friends that accept that I am a bitch this way when they say these things to me, and take it or leave it. It's like, well, I'll leave it. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm good on that.
Good on that. And then they're like, why don't I have any friends? Or it's like, because you're a selfish fucking cunt.
Yeah, because
Bleep, bleep,
I don't want to be around that.
Yeah, because I don't want to be around
Are we
that.
going to bleep? Are we going to bleep?
No, I don't think we're going to bleep.
We're not bleeping.
This is an 18 plus podcast, I guess.
Maybe add a disclaimer in here.
Yeah, add a
if you're
disclaimer.
driving a car with a child.
Child, there will be swear words. Most likely. My poor kid is going to. I think she's already trying to say fuck, honestly.
There's no question in my mind that she's trying to say fuck.
She says, she's trying to go, duck. And I'm like, I'm going to pretend like that's not what I know exactly what it is.
It's going to come out any day now.
It is. It's except she can't say F's yet. So I think we're okay for a while.
Yeah.
Because, whenever she tries to say off, she's like, ach.
Ugh.
So we're good for a little bit.
Hebrew.
Yeah, Hebrew. Exactly. She does. Even though she barely ever hears Hebrew, she pronounces everything like it's Hebrew, which is, awesome.
It's in her.
It is in
It's
her.
genetic.
It is. It is genetic. Okay. So, yes. All of us have victim in the sense that we're wounded in relationship to what we love. And it isn't until we can acknowledge that from the place that we are the creators actually of everything. Like I've been doing some mother wound healing stuff, which is also a reflection of just separation wounding. And, I was like real messed up about it. I was like having some cathartic crying, which can be nice sometimes, whatever. And then I was supported in like seeing it from the higher, like remembering my wholeness. And from that place, what was pointed out to me was it's like I chose my mother. From the space of my soul being like, I'm going to embody. I see like being human is like being in a video game, honestly. And I'm like, this character, these are this is the challenge that I want to overcome. And then this is who I want to be in the world. And so many people don't ever make it to the overcoming. They just make it to the, like, even if they make it to the therapy point where they're like, oh, this is how I got patterned as a child. They don't make it to the place of, but I have the power to choose, which you said so beautifully. It's like only with the awareness do we have choice. So we're all victim because we're all wounded in relationship to what we love. And it's structural. It's how we have the experience of separation. But once we get to the balance point to walk past it, we have to acknowledge that we have a heart and that our heart is here for purpose. And oftentimes when people hear that, they immediately associate that to like a career or a job. Yeah. But your purpose might be to live on a beach and raise a family. And if that is your truth, plain and simple, you will be supported in doing it. The fabric of the universe will come together if you choose you to support that reality. But that is so hard for our minds, our conditioned minds to comprehend because we think we have to do something. We have to do to get to somewhere where we can finally maybe have an experience of ease or freedom or whatever. Freedom is right now, and you can have it in this moment. It's actually, it's something I say when I'm teaching a lot, which is just takes one breath to arrive back to presence, or it just takes one breath to refocus yourself. And that's a paradoxical truth because it is true that you can do that, but you also have to train yourself and be in a practice where that's available to you. So your heart.
It takes will and effort, is what you're saying.
It takes will and effort. It does. But it's like,
all of it does.
yeah, but it's a beautiful effort once you, it's like you have to tip the scales. It's like when you're in your perception, you're so heavily weighted to that side. There's very little weighting the other side. So it's like a very imbalanced scale. And the more and more you start to take ownership of your experience, you start to get a little more equilibrium between those two sides, which is why we often say you only have to be 51% in your heart to create your end results. But once you've practiced enough, once you've been trained and you practice, it's like the scale is hanging out in the equilibrium space. And that's when I say it only takes one breath, because that one breath can just tip that scale over to your heart side. But getting that scale to that equilibrium spot, that balance point, takes training and a practice. And then you have to stay in your practice to maintain the equilibrium. Because, unfortunately, your dysfunctional personality is the default mode of awareness. Being human.
Yeah, and it's the comfiest place to be, right?
It is your comfort zone.
Yep.
Yeah, which is, also suffering. But it's like you'd much rather be there than be confronting your deepest fears by stepping into your heart.
Right. The familiar is safe because you already know what to expect.
Exactly.
You know you'll survive there.
Right. And that's the known versus the unknown. Also, is another way, right? There's all these ways that we describe this polarity in our experience. It's the head and the heart, perception and intuition, the devil and the angel, the known and the unknown. All of these things are describing the same polarity that exists within the human experience, that exists within all of us in the way that we experience life. And it's funny because the more we live in our perception, the more concretized it gets. And it's like there's these key points in just like time, I feel like, that you hit a point where you're like, is this all my life is ever going to be? And things like that will initiate more heart-centered stuff. Like midlife crisis is a good example of that culturally, where people are like, I've done everything right. I've done the grind. I've blah, blah, blah. I've had the kids. I had the wife. I bought the car. I bought the house in the suburbs. And like, I'm still feel empty inside. So they go seeking elsewhere, right? Oftentimes that's a big reaction. It has a big like swing of the pendulum, and they end up also not where their heart is, because the heart comes from the neutral place, actually, which our minds perceive as a boring place, but true neutrality is very joyful. And so the heart is an expression, is a fractal representation of infinite energy, of pure creative spirit, of what exists everywhere all the time. It's what has birthed the moment that we're sitting in. It's, metaphorically, it's, the Big Bang. Like God, even, more about how God is described than I do. But he's like omnipresent, right? Like all of these words that are in relationship to spirit, oneness, God, they're a description of the inherent continuity, the inherent connection through everything, through all time and space. And that is where heart is born from. And it's within that, there's its own polarity, because you are infinite. You are essentially infinite. I mean, even logically, if infinity exists, infinity is everything. So how could it not be you? Right? Mm-hmm. And then there's the specificity of your heart, your embodied uniqueness that's here to play its instrument in the orchestra of creation. And
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Write that one down.
Write that one down.
Thankfully, we're recording this, so we've got it. We've got it. But yeah, and it is unknown. The heart is unknown in the sense that it's like ever it's ever transforming to meet now. And it's always available to us as well. And it's always whispering. It's like the angel on your shoulder, the whisper of desire in your heart, the knowing that, leads you somewhere, calling that you feel towards something that maybe you even have no experience in or expertise. Like that is your heart, and your heart is asking you to show up for it. And as soon as you actually start acting in favor of your heart, this is also where a lot of spiritual practices get tripped up. But as soon as you start acting in favor of your heart, things start happening. Like magic starts happening. Things start popping up. Like, for instance, just today, my husband, who's so resistant to leaving me and my daughter, who's so resistant to like going anywhere, being out in the world, or doing anything for himself, essentially, it's his dysfunction. His plane got delayed, and he was like sitting at the bar after having breakfast, like doing some work on his computer, and he met a published author who had started a book not similar to his book, but like made this beautiful connection that potentially could really serve his art, his work getting out into the world, his heart truth, right? And that's what happens. But it's like when we stay imprisoned in our perception of like, this is how it is, and this is how I have to be, and these are the rules, and this is what I stand by, then that stuff's probably happening around you, but you just aren't willing to see it. You aren't seeing it. You're writing it off. You're judging it. You're whatever it is.
Or you're so listening to your mind chatter that you can't hear anything else or focus on anything else. That's more my experience.
Right.
It's different for all of us.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's good to know. It's why it's good to know your perception in your organization, because then you can identify it faster. Mm-hmm. Like fish don't know they're swimming in water. We don't know we're living in our perception until somebody plucks us out and goes, "Hey, look. There's all of this out here." And that can feel really uncomfortable, right? It's like, no, I'm a fish. I need to be in water.
Yeah.
I have gills, God damn it. And it's like, another way to think about that is like, oh, you're in a cup or in a fish case. It's not what that's called.
Fish case.
And that's sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
The fish
case.
The fish case.
The fish case.
What? An aquarium?
Bowl?
A fish bowl. Yeah, that's what I was imagining in my head, a fish bowl. And you're swimming around the fish bowl. You're like, this is all there is. And then somebody takes you and they're like, and here's the ocean. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck is this?
Scary.
There's a reason why most people have a fear of the ocean, because the ocean represents the unknown. I mean, even think about it scientifically right now. We know more about outer space than we know about the depths of our own ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrifying, actually.
Terrifying.
Really.
Like the Loch Ness Monster.
Right?
Keeps you from pursuing the unknown. And that is like a great metaphor for how perception works. It's like, you're like, man, I'd really love to go for a swim. Like it would feel so good to go for a swim right now in that beautiful, clear Caldera Lake, right? But there's a monster in there.
There could be monster.
There could be a
we
monster
don't know.
in there.
Can't see that deep.
It's gonna get you.
It might get you.
And then you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna go in there.
Yeah, and then you make excuses.
You make excuses. Then a lot of people will enlist other people and be like, right, can't go in there.
Validate me.
Validate me. Validate my beliefs. So that's the heart, and it sounds good, doesn't it, to live in the heart? But it's also scary. Mm-hmm. But it becomes less and less scary the more and more you do it.
I think it's also important to talk about the sneakiness of the ego and how it can kind of pretend like it's your heart or your intuition, and how to maybe discern.
Get trained. Let me train you.
Yeah.
Oh, the sneakiness of the ego. So here we talked about the paradox of like you're infinite, but then you also have a unique soul expression for this earth. And then you have a pattern. Your ego is a pattern. Your perception is a pattern. but it also adapts to stay relevant to your circumstances. And so the ego can become less sneaky the more you learn the like feeling in your body and the emotional charges that talks to you through, because it will talk to you the same way, but what it's talking about will change. So it's like, say you're a 3 on the Enneagram. They're the achiever, right? They're like, if I just get really good grades in school, then I'll be able to get into any school that I want, and then I'll be satisfied, right? And then they get into that school and they go into it, and now they're not a high achiever. Now they're at the bottom of the pool again. And so they're like, well, now if I get really good grades here and I make all the right connections and I work really, really hard, and then when I get the job, then I'll feel satisfied. And then they get the job and they're like, nope.
Got to climb the ladder.
Still, now I got to climb the ladder. Now I got to whatever. And achieving to them is like breathing air. It's their water. But it isn't ever fulfilling them because they're not actually doing what matters to them. They're doing what validates their belief structure, which is actually reinforcing that they're not good enough. They keep choosing things that reinforce that they're not good enough so that they can achieve being gooder. So it's not a word. Get gooder. Go ahead then, get gooder. And so that pattern is repeating. The needing to achieve is repeating. But what's needing to be achieved changes. You can even take a 3 who has an awakening. And for those of you who aren't watching the video, because there's not one.
There's no video.
I just did air quotes with my fingers.
On what word exactly?
Have a spiritual awakening.
Right.
Like a 3 has a air quote awakening.
Yes.
Yeah. And then they go to a spiritual practice, but they choose a spiritual practice that still has a ladder to climb in it, that still has all of these steps so that they can like eventually achieve it. And then they reach that point and they realize they're still empty. And so that's one of the ways that you get the feedback loops also. It's like nothing you do actually gives you the thing that you want. And then it's like, well, then you're doing the wrong thing. And so egos will be very tricky in that way, where they'll be like, okay, you're dissatisfied. I hear that. Let's do this thing. And you're like, oh, and you experience the relief on the onset of these things. Like for you, for instance, you get satisfaction from overthinking about things.
Yeah, but it's also suffering.
It's also suffering. Mm-hmm. But there's a part of you that's so comfortable there that feels relief to not have to feel your emotions and just be in the figuring it out, the looking at the options, the researching it, the weighing every option in your mind, playing out every scenario. Even though that is actually torturous and suffering, it's more comfortable than just like sitting still and feeling what you're feeling right now. Mm-hmm. And so then you could take on like a practice where you're like, okay, well, I'm going to feel what I feel. But then it becomes an analyzing what you feel rather than a feeling what you feel, which is like, okay, so you're like, yes, my heart, this is what my heart wants. I want to just be and feel. And so then you sit down to do that. And then that's where the ego gets tricky because it goes, okay, we're going to do that. And then you sit down to feel and it's like, well, what's that pain? Well, that pain feels like it's connected to my shoulder. And then all of a sudden, you're not feeling what you're feeling. You're analyzing it and running scenarios in your head again. Mm-hmm. But in your self-awareness, you then start to think, well, this isn't working. This isn't worthwhile. This isn't doing anything different because you think you're doing something different, but you're not actually doing anything different because the ego goes, yes, let's do that. And then it moves you back into the pattern that you're most comfortable in.
Right. It's like I can make a choice and go in a different direction. The ego's gonna make me think that I'm doing it the way that I think I'm doing it, but I'm not. it's also not letting me.
Right.
It's gonna make it the same thing that it always makes it,
Yep.
unless I can stay aware of what it's doing, which is really difficult to do sometimes.
Yeah. Right. Which is brings us back to the body, which is why we use the body. Like for me, consciousness work without body work is like it's just such a functional anchoring point using the body, because the body is always seeking inner harmony, and the body's also now. The body's always right now. So if you can train yourself to connect to sensations, even in a dysfunction like yours, it will bring you to the present moment. And the present moment is that balance point, is the opportunity to walk through the door into the choices that you have. And so much of mastering creating in your life is stopping the behaviors of your ego, which can feel like a real chore for a while.
Yeah, and it also feels like a chore to know what it's doing and be aware of what it's doing and not do anything about it. That is the most draining for me. Is that because I've done a lot of training with you and now I have awareness. Sometimes I don't still. There's so many blind spots. But a lot of the time I know and I see what it's doing and I just stay there because it feels better. But it actually doesn't feel better because now I'm aware of it and now I know.
Yeah.
And that's draining.
Yeah.
For
And
me.
see, so that's another tricky ego thing. You're like, oh, but I'm aware. But it's like, yeah, but you're still behaving in favor of the ego.
It's worse actually to be aware and not do anything.
It is worse. It's actually it's the law of use. It's like, don't learn something if you're not going to apply it, because it actually makes the power in your ego even stronger. And that you bring up, what you're bringing up is a really good point, because we're talking about heart and we talked about how your egoic orientation is your default mode of awareness. It takes will to be in your heart. It's like the only real effort you have to make is to put your attention in your heart. Once you get there, the effortless road unfolds in front of you. But like what you're describing and like getting that weight, that scale to that medium place, like that's the work. That's shadow work. That's awareness building work. That's the like gritty stuff. Once you get the scale to the balance point, you still have to apply will to get in your heart. And if you can continuously do that, because there's no such thing as perfect focus, just as there's no such thing as perfect parenting, but you can refocus yourself. You just have to continuously refocus yourself, which is one of the hardest parts of the creating, is stopping your egoic behaviors, right? It's like having the awareness being like, oh, I'm doing that thing, then applying your will to stop it, to turn on a song for you. Just listen to the song.
Yeah, roll around on the floor. And
roll around on the floor.
Feel what it feels like on my skin.
Yeah. Like shake it out, jump up and down, tap your body, scream, do something to disrupt your pattern so that you can refocus yourself. And that's again why the body is such a great tool, because your emotions are energy and they're telling you to behave a certain way to resolve that energy. They're getting you to move through behavior to reinforce your beliefs. But when you can identify the emotions, which your thoughts and feelings come from that emotion, that low vibrational emotion, when you can feel that, instead of doing the thing it's telling you to do, which is like make sure everything is safe and make sure you know everything ahead of time so that nothing can get you, right? Feel that and use movement to dispel it. It's not where you stop. That's where you get your scales back to balance. And then you have to focus yourself. It's like, what's true now? What would I love now? What's in service now? Service is another great way out of your ego, because it stops being about you.
Service to someone else.
Service, yeah. Service to someone else. Service to your heart.
You've mentioned a couple times, I think you should go into this a little bit more, the reinforcing what's in your unconscious. So what that cycle is.
Yeah.
And some examples.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So belief creates reality. which then reinforces beliefs. Yeah, that's the cycle.
Yep.
I had to imagine the diagram I use in my mind for a second. And so like the law of attraction, right? That was big time in like what, the 90s, early 2000s or something. The law of attraction, just change your beliefs or just focus on what you want to create and you'll create it. Yeah. That's not actually how creating works. That is missing a step. The step that's missing in there is acknowledging the way that you feel less than, acknowledging your wounding, right? That step's not in there. It's just like, oh, I want to be wealthy. It's like, well, why do you want to be wealthy? That's the step that's missing in the law of attraction. But it's like if you change your beliefs, you just like focus on something, then you'll create it. That's half of the equation. How beliefs get reinforced is they love that. They love that, by the way. The beliefs are like, yes, don't know the other half of the equation. Beliefs get reinforced because of the motivation for what you want. That's when people don't stop to think about it. So beliefs have the upper hand because they talk to you through your thoughts and feelings. And that's the water that you swim in. So that's what you think is actually going on all the time. And now, say you believe, so we use this example just as a physical example, because this isn't actually how the body works at all, but it is something that's been taught over the years. It's like you believe because someone told you that spines are not supposed to twist. And so in listening to that, which you now believe, you don't rotate your body. You make sure you keep your spine straight, which it's not straight, by the way, it's curved. But anyways, it's besides the point. It's not a column. It's not a column. To everyone out there listening, your spine is not a column.
We could do a whole separate, well, let's do a whole separate thing on that.
We will. So then you stop rotating your spine. You're just like, oh yeah, every time I bend over, I'm going to like make sure my hips and my shoulders are square. I'm going to keep that going. And then something happens. You like drop a dish, your kid knocks the dish off of the whatever. You turn real quick to catch it. And because you've patterned your body to stay straight like that, when you take that fast, quick force motion to twist and catch, you injure yourself. And you go, see, spines aren't designed to twist.
Reinforcing that belief,
which then doubles down. Then you go to heal, and then to protect myself even further, I have to really make sure I don't twist my spine, which then, in fact, will create more fragility in your spine, and it will continue on until then you get, say, surgery to have a rod put in for your spine.
to really straighten your spine.
And then you won't be doing any twisting at all.
Then it's
concretized.
Real.
Yep.
It's all real. The thing that you believed.
Yep. It's concretized.
You make it real.
We make it real. And we do that with our unconscious beliefs all the time. The tricky thing with unconscious beliefs is that they're unconscious. You're not aware of them. You can become aware of them by looking at your behaviors and, say, having someone train you in intuition and how to identify your beliefs. Once you do that, that's where you're getting frustrated, is because you like know why you're doing the thing and you're still doing the thing. That's when you start to be in the art of creating. It's not a formula, because like you said, like your ego's going to learn. It's going to learn the language. It's going to be like, oh, well, I'm presencing right now. It's like, are you presencing or are you just like distracting yourself? Right? That's why it's good to have a reflection. Somebody who's also around in service to you, a group, a training, and something to gain more and more awareness to keep you moving forward in the truth of who you are, because it's not, even though you're infinite and everything, there's every potential around you, your default mode of awareness is your perception, is that egoic orientation. And so you just have to keep on the higher tightrope, and you have to keep moving. Otherwise, you take what you think was your heart and then you turn it into your dysfunction again.
Yeah, sneaky like that.
Sneaky. So I'll use myself as an example right now because in my personality dysfunction, which has a lot of like issues with authority, very like bipolar relationship with authority, I didn't want to have kids. I didn't want to have kids because I perceived having children as no longer having autonomy and having somebody else be in charge of me all the time, which I'm highly resistant to in my personality, very dysfunctionally. And so I like really didn't want to have kids. And my husband did. And I was like, I'll see if I ever come around to that, if I ever warm up to it. I didn't until I got a baby in my land of plenty, which is the space that we train people into going to that holds the truth of your heart. And when I got that, I was like, motherfucker, fucking fuck. But also I felt the energy of like how much I would love that,
Yeah.
But like, whoo boy, did I have resistance to that. Big time resistance. So much so that I lost 10 pounds.
Oh, I remember this.
My body was just like, nope,
Yeah.
unviable for another life.
Yeah.
Cannot do it.
Yeah. Too skinny.
Too
now.
skinny. Nothing, no storage there to resource off of. And it took almost a whole year. I think it was like around 9 months of like specifically having a mother choice to finally get pregnant. And I did a lot of transforming my relationship to authority and what that means for me and being my own authority and whatnot. And now I have a child. And yes, she is the boss of me.
She's also the boss of me.
Yeah, she's also the boss of anyone.
Everyone.
Yeah, anyone she encounters, in the most delightful way.
Yeah.
But I still have to use will to not like fall into resentment about things. But it's not hard now. Like it just takes a being like, oh, I'm just like feeding that wolf right now. I'm just like feeding that storyline, and I can just shift because like also it's super helpful because she's a delight. She's just a delight. But I could, if I didn't do any of that work, I'd be a terrible mother.
Yeah.
I would resent being a mother, and that would come out in some very ugly passive aggressive ways, which is like my personality's type strategy for getting what I want, or really reinforcing that I can't have what I want, but that's how I think I can get it because I can't express anger. So I have to be passive aggressive, which then really just makes people like annoyed with you or completely unaware of what's going on. So once you see your dysfunctional pattern, you're like, oh my God, that's insane. And that's all insane.
It's bonkers.
That's bonkers.
It really is.
It is. All egos are committable. What do people say? Like to put into an insane asylum?
Oh, I don't remember I know what word you're looking for,
Yeah.
but I don't. I know, but I don't.
All egos are, I want to say certifiable. Is that?
No.
Yeah, that's not it.
It's like committable. It's close to that.
Yeah.
I think maybe it'll come to us, but I think we should also do a whole separate episode on mothering from a conscious place.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know.
Yeah.
Speaking to that, like, and also knowing that you're still going to create wounds in your daughter. You are, as we speak.
100%.
And knowing that, and
Yeah.
also like doing what you can to mother from your heart as well.
Oh, I think that's great. I think we just set up what the next episode is going to be.
For sure.
Like,
Also in motherhood, what has made you aware of how you were mothered?
oh my God. We're going to need like 5 episodes.
Hot topic.
Hot topic. It is a hot topic. And also, I would go to Hot Topic
I kind of want to go to Hot Topic as well.
which still exists, but it now has like surfer stuff in it and stuff I've heard.
Is that the new, like,
Is that the new punk?
Is it new punk? I don't know. I'm disconnected.
Me too. But the 90s are back, baby. The 90s are back.
I know. I've seen it.
Yeah. It's terrible fashion.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad.
I wish the 90s, actual 90s were back.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like the hip hop would be good.
Hip hop, the economy.
Yeah, the like environment not actively being in what was supposed to be projected from even 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're having our first snow in Colorado in March. Yeah, that's normal. That's fine. Totally fine.
Super
Should be fine. Should be fine for the whole Western United States this summer.
It's not going to be on fire.
It's not going to be on fire. There's
We're
going to be
gonna be on
plenty
fire.
of water
Yeah.
coming off the Rocky Mountains that are literally have not been white.
No.
They've been white like twice this entire winter.
Yeah. Today's
like
the
two-
second
For
time.
2 days. And then just right back to their purple brown. Great. Well, on that note, thanks for listening. It's been a pleasure being in your ear. Is that a weird thing to say? I think that should be the closer.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure being in your ear.
Yeah, in your ear and in your brain. May awareness touch you in the most appropriate ways.
Ooh, I like that. Don't ignore it when it does.
Yeah, don't ignore it. Okay, cool. I'm giving you a peace sign.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace out.